one question and a follow-up, okay? But before we get there, I do have some comments. First of all, I want to begin by offering our condolences to our partners at the state Department of Public Safety's tragically lost 2 members last night in a helicopter crash up in northern Arizona. So if you would keep them in your prayers, Colonel Gulliver and his team, I'm sure, would have greatly appreciated it. Along the same lines, I think you all saw last night, I'm trying to speak up, not yell, because apparently I talk soft. We saw last night the family, you know, they just hurt, understandably so. And so I really want you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you. We really just want Mom back, okay? Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Our department, the Sheriff's Department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock. And we just want her home and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do. But I have other partners out there who have stepped up, and you've probably noticed them in the last few days, if not the last few hours, and you're going to see more of that. I made a decision to contact our PCRIT team, and those of you not local, that's our Pima Regional Critical Incident Team. It's made up of law enforcement officers from this entire valley. Pasquayaki Police Department, Tucson Police Department, Marana Police Department, Oro Valley Police Department, Pima College Police Department, Tucson International Police Department, Sarita Police Department. There's so many of them, and they are going to help us tremendously. And that's really done because we have so much in front of us still, and we're hoping that, you know, I know the FBI has committed a very large number of men and women to partner with us, work side by side with us. We go do an interview, they're going to be there with us. We're going to go look at some evidence or process evidence, they're going to be right there with us. We're sharing every piece of information, all the data we can to get this thing solved. And it's important that my partners in law enforcement know and understand their roles, because it is very large, complex investigation with a lot of moving parts. And we're at that phase now where sometimes we're waiting, right? We're waiting for analysis, we're waiting for lab reports. But even then, when they come back quickly, for example, some DNA, we rushed what we thought was the best target for DNA. We did a rush through and got some of that back. The results were minimal. I think you all know of the blood on the porch. That was one we did. It came back to Nancy. That's what we know. But there's still more items that have been submitted. We just haven't got them back yet. But in the meantime, we're not just sitting on our haunches waiting. We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why we brought in the FBI for one, but PCRIT as well, to be able to get out there and handle these leads as they come in as quickly and as expeditiously as we can. And every single lead is looked at, every one of them. And so we're gearing up. You probably have some questions about what you've seen in the last couple of days. I'll gladly answer those at that time. But it really is about getting our partners out there. To be fair, when we went to that scene the first night, Saturday night, it was just us. Since then, the FBI and others have asked, can we go and see it as well? And that's what you've been seeing. But it is a very important case to not just me and my team, but this entire community, all of our law enforcement partners. Suspects. I know there's been a lot out there about suspects, and I want to be very clear. At this time, we have not identified a suspect or a person of interest in this case. We are working our best to do that. But to be clear, we have nobody of interest or any suspects that you would consider a prime suspect. We're just not there. We're not there yet. The timeline, I think we've got it on the board, do we not? This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that we've had processed. Various pieces of electronics that we've gathered. And you look at some of this, and I know you're going to say, well, why did it take you so long to get this to us, Sheriff? Well, because one thing, it's got to go out and be processed at different lab sites. And sometimes that stuff comes back to us, and like you, we have questions. And we say, wait a minute, what is this about? What about this? Could it be that? And so it's sent back, or it's sent somewhere else. So, and that's happening with all of the things we see, that process, that review, and that questioning of, all right, what is it we're looking at? So I'll go over it with you. You can see it on the board there, but at about 5:32 p.m., these are approximate times. 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to her local family's home for dinner and playing games with the family, just visiting. At 9:48 p.m., which is very consistent to what we were told by the family, that Nancy was dropped off at home, and we know that because we have a garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, at approximately 9:48 p.m. At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes. It is that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself, it just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So that detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video. But we're not giving up on that. 2:28, Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone. And at 11:56 a.m., the family checks on Nancy and discovers her missing. And at 12:03 p.m., 911 is called in to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. I believe it's about approximately 10 minutes later, 12 minutes later, our patrol teams arrive. They see the scene, and we start our response with our search and rescue teams and our detectives from homicide and various units. In fact, every unit here, I think somebody questioned, how come there's an ICAC member out here, or this member? Everybody in our criminal investigations team is a part of this team and part of this investigative effort. I think with that, let me make sure. I want to clarify some things that I may have already done, but yeah, I've gone over with the blood at the front door, the doorbell camera. It was removed, we know that, but we're not confirming that any cameras were smashed or destroyed around the house. I don't know where that came from, but that's something we're not confirming. The car, the car that was at the home, it's just standard investigative practices. It's part of the search warrant scene, court orders. We pull it out of there and do our scene processing with the vehicle. Uber, we did speak to a driver because Nancy, we learned, had been taken the Uber to the family residence, the daughter, for dinner. And we located that driver and spoke with them and got that information. The house, you guys got this, I think, conducting follow-up. I think you said somebody had mentioned that they saw a team out there again last night or yesterday, and that's just, again, what I was talking about before. Our partners wanted a chance to see it and examine things themselves, and more importantly, it's just we're constantly following up on things and go, hey, what about this? So we want to go back and check on some things. Oh, here's the other thing. Someone had mentioned there was forced entry. I have no clue where that comes from. We have been very consistent. We are not discussing that at all. Whether it's forced entry or not forced entry, that is something we're just not discussing. So I don't know where anybody got that information. I think I am about done with my piece of this. I'm going to bring up here Heath Yankee, and you know, John Edwards is the assistant agent in charge with the FBI here at the Tucson office. Heath Yankee is the special agent in charge for the state of Arizona out of Phoenix, and he will come up and speak.
Thank you, Sheriff. Hello, I'm Heath Yankee, the special agent in charge of the FBI's Phoenix Division. First, I want to let the Guthrie family know that our hearts are heavy for them. After seeing your message last night, it is clear that you and your family are in pain. Please know that we are doing everything to bring your mother home. The FBI is now working this case jointly with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, and we're going to start today by announcing a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie and or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance, and this will be the missing persons with the reward that will be going out. The FBI has agents, analysts, and professional staff employees working day and night with our partners at the Sheriff's Department. We have deployed additional intelligence and agents from our Phoenix office. We have brought in our Critical Incident Response Group from Quantico, Virginia. Members from our Cellular Analysis Survey team are here, and they continue to collect and process digital information. We are actively reviewing and analyzing information from all digital sources, which includes banks, social media companies, phone companies, and any other organizations where a digital footprint could have been captured. All this information provides data points and helps put the picture together. And we will be in the community continuing to conduct a thorough investigation with our partners. You heard about us out there last night. We will be back out there today. I would ask the media, give our investigators the space to do their jobs while they're out there. Next, regarding the ransom letter. We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family, and while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. Thank you to those in the community that have called in tips. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov. My next message is to those imposters who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation. We will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions. We have made one arrest related to an imposter ransom demand, and a complaint will be presented to a magistrate judge later today. You will get more on that from the FBI and our U.S. Attorney's Office here in Arizona when it becomes available. To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing. This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing before this becomes a much worse scenario for you. Please return Nancy home. Thank you.
All right, so you want to call them or you want me to call them?
You can call them up.
Okay, so the first person we're going to start with the list is going to be NBC National, Liz Prince.
Right here. Can you walk us through that timeline from when you believe, if you look at this here, from 147 to 228, what you think happened there, and what particular software would have detected somebody on camera?
I don't. I know we know the software that was there, but I'm not. Sorry, I'm just not in the weeds. I know that. Think of your doorbell cameras. Somebody walks up. My wife's. If I walk up, she gets an alert, and it's usually something like that. A person's detected.
So to understand and follow, one, does that mean that it was about a 45-minute span that this suspect or suspects would have been on the property? And then also, does this essentially mean that you cooperated with the tech companies and you can officially say that no surveillance video is available from the home?
We know that the tech company that we sent that camera off to, yes, they've said they've run out of ways to recover any video.
Next person's going to be ABC News, Aaron Kotersky.
Yeah. I'm sorry, was what 45 minutes?
Can we say it's about a 45-minute span that somebody would have been on the property then, from 147 to 228?
Yeah, I think those times speak for themselves, and it is about, like I say, those are approximates, so yes. I'm sorry, who was next, did
Aaron
you say?
Kotersky, ABC News.
Hi, Sheriff. Thanks very much. Is there information that you are purposefully withholding because of the active investigation that might be leading you in a particular direction?
You know, this is no different than any criminal investigation that we conduct here. Law enforcement has conducted investigations since 1865 here in Pima County. We're always mindful of what it is that's in front of us and what we should release and can release. There's legal guidelines that guide us, but there's also strategy too. So, I'll leave that for you to determine.
Now that you are having such an injection of manpower from the Pima Critical Incident Team and the FBI, would you slow to bring that in at the outset? Should all of these resources been brought to bear sooner?
I guess that it's Monday morning quarterbacking. I do it all the time, so you have the opportunity to do it for me. I'll take that hit.
CBS News, Jonathan Migliotti.
Sheriff, over here, has there been any proof of life, and has there been any sign of life?
I'm going to, anything to deal with the ransom notes and that, I would defer to the FBI, but no, to my knowledge, we're still looking for Nancy.
And for my follow-up question, if I can speak with the special agent, what was it about this apparent ransom note that now 3 days on, you first haven't been able to validate, and second, it warranted informing the Guthries of its existence?
So the ransom note that was sent out there, obviously every lead in this case we are taking extremely serious.
But not everyone is presented to the family. Why this one?
Because this was the ransom that came in and it had facts associated with a deadline, with a monetary value they were asking for. So at that point...
What were some of those facts, if you can, because there's been a lot of speculation, as you know, if you can set the record straight.
Yeah, the ransom itself, one talked about an Apple Watch and one talked about a floodlight. We're not going to go into specifics. It's very important that we keep this investigation moving forward, and we don't want to put more facts out there that others then can use to try to profit from this.
Who else would know about
CNN next, Ed Lavandera.
Hey, Agent, I want to follow up with you real quick on that. There have been, as far as we know, I think 3 ransom notes so far, 1 arrest. Are they all different? Or do you think there's different authors behind all of them? Or...
So the one that went to the media is the one we were currently investigating and working on. The imposter that I talked about, where an arrest was made early this morning, that there will be more information. We believe there's no evidence to connect this to Nancy's case. It was someone that was trying to profit from it, a total imposter.
And Sheriff, you started off the press conference by saying you believe that Nancy is still out there. Do you have reason to believe that she's still out there alive? Or are you fearful of the worst case scenario here, that she won't be found alive?
Well, I'm certainly fearful of that. I think we all are. But it is we operate from a position that until we know she's out there, she's alive, and we're going to continue thinking that way until we find her.
Fox Digital, Mike Reese.
Yeah, sir. Mike Reese from Fox Digital. Sheriff, you said you've identified no suspects. Have you ruled out anyone she was with on Saturday night?
You know, we've talked to so many. I'm sure that my investigators have feelings about this one's clear or this one isn't. But no, I wouldn't say anybody's ruled out yet, because what if I rule you out and then later I learn something else? No.
So my follow-up, you mentioned that you don't know where the recording of a forced entry came from. Do we know how whoever did this got into her house?
That I would not discuss with you anyway.
Fox News, Paul Morrow.
Question for Agent Edwards, if I may. Agent Edwards, will the Bureau be submitting the DNA for investigative genealogical investigation relative to maybe hitting a relative, somebody, if you will?
I would say the DNA aspect of this case is being handled by the Pima County Sheriff's Department right now. However, should we get to that point, yes, that would be an option for the FBI to assist.
And a quick follow-up, does the ransom note that you're working establish any communication protocols in it?
I think it's important that if someone has Nancy and is demanding the ransom, that there is communication with the family. We talked about there has been no proof of life, and there was no other demands within that letter. So they're still waiting for communication.
ABC affiliate, Ashley Holden.
Right here, Ashley Holden. When you say the doorbell camera was disconnected, do you believe that camera was taken?
We do not have it in our possession. We've not located it.
Okay. And then a follow-up. I know that we've been hearing a lot about ransom notes. We were also hearing in that video that was put out by the Guthrie siblings, and I don't know if this is a question for the FBI or yourself, but the challenges of seeing an image and knowing that it's real. Could one of you address that? Has the family received correspondence, any images, videos?
So we're not going to go into facts regarding this part of the investigation. I think part of that message was with AI these days, you can make videos that appear to be very real. So we can't just take a video and trust that is a proof of life these days because of the advancements in AI and trying to actually get a proof of life that we can verify. But we're not going to go into anything the family may or may not have received.
KOLD, Catherine Patterson.
So in regards to a timeline on that ransom note, is that being an impact in your investigation? Are we nearing that timeline?
I'm sorry, one more time.
So in regards to the timeline in the ransom note, are we nearing that timeline? And is that playing a part in the investigation?
We're not going to go again into specifics of that part of the investigation with the ransom note other than what we've put out there. We've been transparent. We're talking about we are working that ransom demand, but we don't want to go anything further than that could impact any opportunities. So thank you.
Is there any additional physical evidence at the crime scene other than the technology that you guys are using for this timeline? Is there anything else that's helping you guys other than really the technology?
Well, I think I said on day one is that it's technology that's going to really help us solve this case. But no, I mean, you know, we did do a process of that scene for biological evidence, so we're still hopeful that maybe something will show up there as well.
Arizona Republic, Richard Rella.
Agent Yankee, we saw on the scene, I believe it was you, taking a tripod into the home of the sister. How involved was the FBI, if at all, in creating the video? Any advice for the family on what to see in the video?
I would say we use our expertise and provide consultation and advice anytime a family would ask for our advice in a kidnapping. It's ultimately the family's decision of what they put out and any messages they put out. But we were, obviously, you're all documenting every move we make. We were there last night in talking with the family. But every decision is theirs.
Right, that was a tripod and a ring light. And Sheriff Manos, you said the blood was found on the porch and on the front stoop. Just wanted to verify that.
I say porch, front stoop. It's all in that same general area by the front door.
Front of the house.
Front door, yes.
What, given her medical condition and the fact that it was her blood, as you say, what would her medical condition do with her recovery if she indeed bled out or was bleeding when she left the house?
Well, again, I've got to be careful for HIPAA, but I would say this. We know she is in need of medication, daily medication. And we also know that this is day 4 or 5, and still we don't know that she's getting her medication. That could in itself prove fatal.
No, that'll be that question. For KGUN News, we have Craig Smith or Athena.
I'll get that for you. I'll do that.
Craig?
KGUN, Athena, Craig Left.
Okay.
Have you been in communication with anyone who you believe could be the kidnapper?
You know, it goes back to what we talked about. Nobody's eliminated, but we just really don't have enough to say, this is our suspect, this is our guy, we know, or our gal. We just don't know that. And it's really kind of reckless to report that someone is a suspect when they could very well be a victim. It just, I bring to you, to the media, I plead with you to be careful of what it is we put out there, because we don't have anybody here listed as a suspect, and you could actually be doing some damage to the case, but you can do some damage to that individual too. Social media is kind of an ugly world sometimes.
And how far out have you expanded your search, would you say?
You know, I would tell you this. Look, nothing's off the table. If we get a lead that there's somebody, hey, you've got this over here or over here, we're going. And that will expand and expand and expand. I think the FBI, with their billboards, they're now planning to put those up at every state around here, at all of our neighboring states. So, we use you, the national media, the FBI with their national outreach, to affect that for us. But as far as the actual investigation, naturally the scene is the primary, and we just keep spreading it out as we get more and more leads.
Court TV, Cody Thomas.
Hi there, Sheriff. Actually, my question is for Agent Yankee. You know, we saw Savannah Guthrie and her siblings, family put out that video last night on Instagram addressing, the tragedy that this is, but also addressing the ransom letter saying they're ready to talk. My question is, did the FBI or any other agency help them craft that message to put out on social media?
Like I said to the previous question, we have an expertise when it comes to kidnappings. And when families want advice, consultation, expertise, we will provide that. But the ultimate decisions on what they say and how they put that out rests with the family itself.
And as far as suspects, I know we haven't identified one, but what type of suspect or suspects do we think we're dealing with here?
At this time, like the sheriff has said, there is no primary suspect identified, so it could run the gamut. So.
KPNX, Troy Hayden.
Are you actively investigating the son-in-law in this case? I know there were reports earlier this week, and you refuted that. You said you haven't eliminated everybody. Have you eliminated him or come close to it, or are you actively looking at him?
We're actively looking at everybody we come across in this case. Everybody. We would be irresponsible if we didn't talk to everybody, the Uber driver, the gardener, the pool person, whoever, everybody. It's so cliche, but everybody's still a suspect in our eyes. That's just how we look at things and think as cops. Does that mean we have a prime suspect? No, and the family's been very cooperative. They've done everything we've asked of them, and we want that relationship to continue. And sometimes people can be mean out there, and that can really harm us and harm our efforts.
Did you find blood anywhere else in the home besides the porch?
The only DNA evidence we've got back is on the porch. We prioritize things and we rush things, and those items we put out to a lab to rush it. And even then, it's 2, 3, 4 days. The other items could take 10 days, 20 days, but we saw the importance of that blood. It came back to Nancy.
So it was only there, it wasn't anywhere else in the house?
I don't know that. We processed the house for biological evidence, and we've not gotten anything back.
Newsmax, Sarah Williamson.
Hi there. My question is just piggybacking off our colleagues here about how far this search has gone. When it comes to doorbell cameras, you say technology plays a critical role in this. Have you been actively door knocking the neighbours and businesses and collecting those doorbell cameras? And is there anything that has come up there, and how far is that?
I can't tell you whether things have come up or not, but we have door-to-door. I think we're still doing door-to-door, not just in that neighborhood, but other neighborhoods. But just as leads come in and take us somewhere, we're going to do those things.
Okay, and just to follow up as well in regards to the video that was released by Nancy Guthrie's children last night, just to clarify, that was not coordinated with any law enforcement beforehand, and that you hadn't seen that video before it was released?
The FBI is handling all things with the ransom.
I think the answer was yes, we were there. The media was there. We can help coordinate, provide that consultation, but that is the family's decision of what they film and what they put out.
Fox 10, Justin.
Agent Yonke, this one's for you. Following up on that video that was released yesterday, you said, ultimately any further action is decided on by the family. Since then, have they expressed any more interest in more efforts to try and get in contact? Who is behind the ransom letter? And do you have a crisis or any sort of hostage negotiator with your team for that type of situation if it moves forward?
So the two parts to that question I think it's pretty clear. The family wants to be contacted. They know time is of the essence. And if those that may have Nancy are watching this, the family is ready to talk, get proof of life, because there has been no contact after that ransom note went to the media. For your second question, yes, we have crisis negotiators. That is part of our team here locally, along with the personnel we brought in from Quantico, and they will be part of it. But we're not going to go beyond that of any specifics.
Sheriff Nanos, taking down the crime scene perimeter after Monday's investigation and really opening access to that property to everyone else, was that something you would do differently looking back, knowing that federal authorities also conducted a search yesterday? Would you have kept that perimeter up, knowing that?
Monday morning quarterback, I probably would have, but I'll say this. We processed the scene. We got what we thought was complete. My team did that. I have to have all the faith and trust in their abilities and their skills, and I think they went through that pretty well. But because another agency now steps in and wants to assist, we're just like with you, we're an open book. Absolutely. How can we help? One of the things people don't see, I heard your question about, and we left and then others could walk up. When we process a scene and we're done, we return that scene to in this case, the homeowners, the family. And we don't just go march back in there. We call the family again and get permissions to go back to the home. So, yeah, there's... Again, Monday morning quarterback, absolutely. I probably could have held off on that. We knew that the FBI, we've worked with them before in a lot of cases, and we felt like they could be of help in this with particularly the forensic analysis we use in a number of things. But at the start of this thing, we weren't sure what we had, and as the day progressed, we realized that there could be more to this, and we started in that. Remember, it was a search and rescue mission the first few hours, and we transitioned that over to a criminal investigation. With that, brought in our partners from the FBI and others.
Have you heard from President Trump on the resources?
I was
actually going to ask about that. We saw the message yesterday.
Are you next?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Following up on that, we saw the message from the president yesterday. Have you personally received any communication from him or
No, and I wouldn't expect that. He, too, is a busy man, right? And I would say this. We thank him for him opening up his entire law enforcement team was put out yesterday, and we know, I know my local reporters here know. We've always worked well with all of our partners in law enforcement. Maybe it's something unique to Southern Arizona, and the rest of the country doesn't see that, but this isn't new for us. We've done this. Gabby Giffords, I headed up that investigation many years ago, and we worked side by side. Could not have got things done if we weren't with the FBI on that.
And just the other question, this being a border state, have you guys had any communication with Mexican authorities?
I have not. I work closely with the Mexican consulate, as other consulates, being the sheriff, but no, I've not heard from them.
Arizona Univision Madrid.
Hi, Sheriff. My question is, do you know, it's a two-part question, do you know what medication Nancy uses? And have you checked the local pharmacies and pharmacies around the state where they bought her state this medication to keep her alive, keep her healthy, while we still look for her?
So we do know what medications, and we have contacted pharmacies. Probably need to go back to just make sure that they didn't. Maybe we contacted them early on. I know that night, Sunday night. Yeah, Saturday night, Sunday morning, I know we were doing all the hospital checks, and that check was continuous every hour, going back out. And physically in person, deputies were going to each local area hospital and asking them to check their logs.
My second question here is, I know you're looking for her in Pima County. Are you looking for her across the state now? And if so, if there's a particular area that you're focusing on right now?
Well, we're looking for her everywhere, right? The FBI just made an arrest on a tip that we got that we thought there could be something here. It's statewide. The billboards are going to be out there across the country. We take the leads from everywhere, and where those leads take us, we'll get there.
MS Now, Alex Talbot.
Agent Yankee, do you have any reason to believe that Nancy Guthrie may be being held outside of the country? Is that something that you've ruled out at this point?
We don't have any of that information. We haven't ruled anything out. Like the sheriff said, we will follow the facts wherever they take us, whether it is outside of the state of Arizona or over the border. We will follow the facts and go there, but we have no indication anything over the Mexican border.
And you mentioned on the ransom note there were details about the Apple Watch and the floodlight.
Yep.
The ransom notes that were sent out to TMZ, KGUN, and KOLD, are they all the same ransom note? Do they contain the same details in each of those individual ransom notes?
The ones that I am tracking and aware of were the same. That went to TMZ also.
News Nation, Brian Enton.
Agent Yankee, sorry.
Yes.
You've been watching a very substantial update on the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the Pima, Arizona sheriff there, the FBI there. We learned a whole heck of a lot. And to talk about some of that, we are here with Anna Schechter, who oversees our crime and public safety unit. She's with me now. Anna, I've got a list. You've got a list. It stood out to me, first of all, that they believe she is still alive. But when asked if they had proof of life, they did not offer any. And in fact, they said that the blood that we've seen pictures of on the porch right outside the door did come back as, in fact, Nancy Guthrie's blood. That's got to be concerning to everyone involved. What else stood out to you? We got a timeline, which was remarkable.
The timeline was 1:47 a.m. The doorbell camera was disabled, and later the sheriff there said that doorbell camera is not in their possession. 2:12 a.m. The software detects a person there in the home. They believe to be a person, but there's no image. 2:28 a.m. The pacemaker worn by Nancy Guthrie disconnected from the phone, from the app on the phone. So that, to me, is that key timeline. It's about 45 minutes where it appears that somebody was at that house.
Yeah, and there's a word that they used in the timeline. Again, this is a timeline put together not by journalists, but by law enforcement, and then presented to a room of journalists. The doorbell camera disconnected. That word, to me, sounds like someone took an initiative to cut something off, or the battery dropped out at that point. What do you make of that word choice?
I thought that was really interesting, and it also spoke to knowledge of how that doorbell cam works. Potentially, had somebody cased that prior, that was very interesting that they could successfully disable it in that way, and they knew that there was a doorbell camera there, and they didn't want to show up in that footage.
We had an hour-long briefing. We have a timeline that is fuller than before. We have repeatedly law enforcement saying we have no suspect, we have no person of interest. At one point, Sheriff Nano said we got nobody. And in that way, we still consider everybody a potential suspect. Are you surprised 5 days in that the combined efforts of the sheriff and the FBI have led to still nothing?
It is surprising, I have to say. It's just a wide range of people. There was an Uber driver that picked her up and took her to dinner at her daughter Annie Guthrie's home. So that person was interviewed. The person who cleans the pool, the gardener. Also, the son-in-law was the last person to drop her off after that dinner. And there were a lot of questions about that. And the sheriff had told us previously that he saw that she safely got inside the house. In fact, we learned a little bit more details. The garage door was opened and then closed.
And on the subject of inside the house, I thought it was remarkable that after widespread reports for days about forced entry and the concerning circumstances of her disappearance, they say we're not going to comment actually on whether it was forced or not. If it's not forced, why not say that? If it is forced, why not say that?
To me, that signals that that is a very crucial part of this investigation. They do not want to confirm or deny that there was forced entry. If there's not forced entry, that points to somebody who had access to the home.
Yeah.
If there was, points to somebody who didn't. So that takes it in two very different directions.
Well, we're going to be covering all this tonight on the CBS Evening News. Anna, thank you very much. As I said, this is a story that has captured the nation's attention, captured its heart, and so many prayers today. You've been hearing the Pima County, Arizona sheriff saying he does believe Nancy Guthrie is still out there, but admits there is no suspect or person of interest identified in the case as of yet. Our coverage will continue on CBS News 24/7, your local news, and also tonight on the CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Tony DeCopel.
I don't know who my escort will be. Bad Bunny is unavailable, so...
Yes, Benito Antonio is doing his world tour.
You know Bad Bunny by his real name? Greg Grand knows everyone. Noticed everyone staring?
Let them stare. Women have been cutting their hair and shaking things up for forever. A century ago.